What's up, guys? Welcome back to the Thatssowdev podcast. My name is Dev. Thank you so much for tuning in. If this is your first time tuning in, you're iconic. And if you're returning, you're iconic. Exactly. Now, y'all know we got some tea. But before we get into the tea, make sure you go ahead and follow me at Thatssowdev on Twitter, Instagram, and everywhere else. Go ahead and subscribe to that YouTube channel. We starting to pop over there. Now, for the tea today, y'all. Let's talk about Miley. I just went and bought myself some flowers because I can literally go buy myself some fucking flowers. Like, it's time for self-care. We are in the self-care era. It's time for us to be serious. Like, first off, let me go ahead and start off this podcast with clocking some of you bitches. Yeah, I gotta clock some of you bitches. Because y'all getting a little brave. You're getting a little brave, right? We're talking about the Miss Hannah Montana. You know, the same girl that got her first number one album at 13, the youngest to get a number one album at 13, and the first TV film soundtrack to go number one on the Billboard 200 chart. That same person is the person that you're questioning. How she get these numbers randomly? Nigga, this the same girl that's your comfort show that you play every motherfucking night. What do you mean how? What the fuck do you mean how? And, it's one of those things where it's Stan Twitter, oh, my favorite, because we have to have the conversation. We have to have the conversation, right? The conversation actually is, my favorite artist doesn't have this. How did this person that I don't care for have that? They're cheating. And that's always the go-to. And while it may be the case often that there are, industry plants and people who do get their success and their fame handed or bought for them, right? But we're talking about Miley Cyrus. We're talking about Miley Cyrus, the same person that, even though we know she is part of the nepotism conversation, right? We all know that she forged her own path and essentially became more famous than her father. Like, hello. She's known for her, not for her father. Shit, people remember Billy Ray Cyrus because of Miley Cyrus right now. Let's just be serious. He is an icon, but we need to be serious. Okay? Like, Miley Cyrus carried Disney on her fucking back for years. For years. From 2006 all the way up until Hannah Montana ended, 2013? Right? Did Hannah Montana end 2013? Because they said the final episode of Hannah Montana ended what? It was a couple years ago. Was it 12? But 12, I think I want to say it was maybe 12 years ago. But so what was that, about 2010? Yeah, so about 2010, because that's when Can't Be Tamed came out and Hannah Montana Forever came out around the same year, or in the same year rather. But it's crazy to see how she ran Disney Channel for damn near a decade. And then to see her come out of that and really break into her own and see her dominate that area. Because people have to remember, Bangers was in a digital era, right? Like, Bangers was like the first Miley Cyrus album that I didn't go into the store to purchase. I purchased it on iTunes. Just like when We Can't Stop came out that night, at midnight, I purchased We Can't Stop on iTunes. I bought the single. There was no streaming for me to go on a service and stream this song. Like, that just really wasn't a thing at that time. And which is it's crazy to say. I'm sure it probably was to some extent, but not seriously. It was a digital era. We were still buying albums. We just weren't doing it in person. We were doing it, but we were doing it digitally, like, right, over whatever digital device that you fucking have. And so we've seen Miley Cyrus in the physical era during Hannah Montana, Hannah Montana 2, Hannah Montana 3, Hannah Montana the movie, Meet Miley Cyrus, Breakout, Can't Be Tamed, these CDs, even Time of Our Lives, where we went in the store and physically bought the album. Like when Walmart is restocking these albums overnight, we're going into the stores and we're buying these fucking albums. Like, this is what we've been waiting for. We didn't wait till midnight for something to pop up on a service and something, that we pay for monthly. That's not the tea. So, we watched her go through the physical era where she sold millions and millions and millions of copies, of physical copies, copies that you actually had to go in the store and buy. millions of these. Millions. Y'all, she got more viewers on one episode than bitches will see in their entire lives selling music. So, where did it come from? Look at the spreadsheet. And I saw a tweet yesterday and somebody was like, it's becoming popular to be a hater on social media. And it really is. Like, people don't give a fuck if they're a hater. They go, well, yeah, I'm a hater, blah, 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 blah. And it's not one of those things where you take back this word and reclaim ownership and, you know, like, I guess revamp what it means. You know how people like, I always use this example. When, you know, everybody was calling Taylor Swift a snake. What did she do? She really embodied what a snake was, right? Not embodied what a snake was per se, but she took on the persona of being a snake and just readjusted how it was looked at. She spinned it into something positive. And that's not something that's happening with being a hater. You're just simply being a hater and trying to justify it, which is not going to work out for you. Anyway, so it's just weird to me to see so many people be a hater to Miley Cyrus. Like, literally, I saw somebody 2 days before the song came out. Oh, this sounded like a hit. And then 2 days later, they were like, well, this needs to be investigated because people are wondering why or how, you know, the Miley Cyrus, who's the Hannah Montana, is selling millions of copies. Now, if we look at the spreadsheet, right, and we look at this girl has 7 number one albums. 7 number one albums, and the first one came, she's 13 years old. She's been in this industry for 17 fucking years. So if we look at all the motherfucking spreadsheets and her sales and everything, it adds up. Because, like I said, we've seen her be successful in the physical copy era when people went in the stores and actually bought that shit, right? And then we've seen her be successful in the digital era, especially during Banger's era, right? Now, right around this time over the last decade or so, she's been with RCA. Now, if you are a Normani fan, if you are a Tinashe fan, or at this point, almost anybody who has come from RCA, you know how RCA is. And you know the limitations that come with being on RCA. Like, you're really not going to get what you deserve. They're really going to swallow you whole. You're going to be quiet. Nobody's going to really hear from you. And when they do hear from you, it's going to be lackluster. Maybe not in the quality of the project, but the quality of what, you know, the energy this label is giving this artist. That's just the tea. You know, Miley Cyrus has had, Dead Pets, which she released free because the label wasn't going to release it for her, so she released it on her own dime. Younger Now, an album that she completely constructed on her own. Obviously, she had help, but she did make that album herself. She wanted to prove something to herself. And then after that was Plastic Hearts, right? And then Plastic Hearts, there were no physical copies in the stores. And Miley Cyrus comes from an era of physical copies. Period. So, it's really, really interesting to me how people are so surprised. She hasn't had a good label for the past decade. And a decade ago was Bangers. So all you really have to do, for one, again, look at the spreadsheet. Look at the facts. The facts are in your face. And that's why I've been telling people, like, I mean, obviously, you know, I've been dragging a bitch or two, right? Because I do drag a bitch or two, or 3 or 4 or 5. And, like, I'm like, y'all, it's not even worth it at this point because all they're doing is just pissing you off. They know she's Hannah Montana. They know she's Miley Cyrus. You notice how there are consistent viral videos of Miley Cyrus and viral tweets of Miley Cyrus, but there have been no recent viral hate tweets about Miley Cyrus because you can't viral hate tweet of it that you actually, like, you openly like this girl. People openly like her. Like, Miley Cyrus, Hannah Montana, like, everybody, like, she's probably in your library somewhere. She's probably literally on your mind. You probably heard her song today. If not, you probably thought about it. If not, you probably saw her. Like, Miley Cyrus is incorporated into your fucking life in some form or fashion at some point in time. She's not a person that you forget, and she's not a person that you don't see standing there. So if you forgot who Miley Cyrus was and you had to be reminded, bitch, that's not on her. It don't need to be investigated. Maybe you need to investigate the shit that you're talking about because odd. All of these facts are in front of you. I don't even have to look these up. It's off the top of my motherfucking head. And the bitch can go confirm. Like, it's second nature. I've been standing this bitch, Miley Cyrus, for 17 years. She has been in the game for 17 years. And